Hello and welcome to episode 18 of the Council of Council. I am New Council Walsh, and joining me is the Florentino Perez to my Gary Neville, Mr. Michael Brown.
Hello. I think I look like Sergio Ramos. How about that?
I'm impressed by your footballing knowledge.
I know.
That is a very much a deep cut to start the show. But before we get onto official business of the week, we were called out yet again by this little rat called Luis Sanchez. Oh, yes. Yeah. What you got to do now? Yeah. Yeah.
You said it was a good impression.
Yeah. I'm Luis Sanchez. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the video. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, I do remember I saw Luis Sanchez. He obviously included footage of us without any impressions. So I think he should do impressions of us if he responds. You know, because I think it's the least he can do some great impressions of us.
Well, again, we're going to insert the clip now. Your move.
Yeah. Checkmate.
I mean, you know, they're not even a real council. I mean, where's your gavel? Where's your town hall? Is anyone taking minutes? Where's your blazer? Nowhere. But they served us with a cease and desist. So in return, what I've done is we're going to issue them a restraining order. Yeah. Now, I could only afford the cheapest one, and this is unprecedented what they issued. But still, we got a restraining order against them, and now council, you can't come within 2 meters of us. So how'd you like that, mate? Yeah, have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, have that.
And as we've served him with a cease and desist, he served us with a restraining order. 2 meters.
I know.
But Michael, I'd like to obviously respond to the charges that's been given. So if don't mind me if I will, Michael.
Yeah, no problem.
Lewis, we do not have a gavel. We are not a council. We are just 2 people.
Yeah, we don't have a gavel.
We do not
this
have
lamp.
Oh. Okay, let's pretend that didn't happen. Lewis,
They ruined our credibility there.
Sanchez, we do not have a gavel. We may not be a council like you are. We may not be the council executives that you think we are. But Lewis, if you notice something, we upload every single week for the past 18 weeks. They just served a restraining order through fucking Hermes delivery. They've sent it, and it's taking how many weeks to finally reply?
Yeah.
Lewis, I have a message right for you. Whenever you do receive this, because you lived in 4 or 5 months in the past, I'm inviting you to the council, and we're going to throw down. And you and I, we are going to go one-on-one, brother. We're going to go jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun. We are going to have a fight, brother. And it's going to be live on the council.
And I will be the neutral referee.
Down.
Okay. I would like to say that I'm not challenging anybody to a fight. I think it's a rather minor YouTube beef in the grand scheme of things, but I would be willing to watch I think rather than a fight with fists, because obviously there is a 2 meter restraining order, what you could do is a fight with words, where you each come with your cancelling topics, and you have this.
It won't
Exactly.
be a fight. It shall be a debate. It shall
And
be
yeah, and whoever,
a diplomatic debate for the fucking ages, man. We are
Yeah.
gonna go down to the most minute detail.
and whoever wins the debate, wins pride.
Exactly.
Wins this lamp. And I just drop.
So Lewis, if I may say so myself, your move, bitch.
Yeah, okay, good. I think that was an appropriate response.
We'll be doing our usual business for going through council issues, going through your comments and this week's headlines. So without further ado, I'm going to go first this week, and it won't come as any surprise if you are familiar with the introduction I made for Michael cancelling Florentino Perez.
Mm.
I mean, the European Super League. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, it's already been cancelled.
It has already been cancelled, but it has highlighted a wider problem within football. Of course, it wasn't
Money.
too long ago you had an argument about, and here we are now, where the wealthiest of the wealthiest clubs within Europe were hoping to merge and create a Super League, and it was met with huge outcry for about 48 hours before Chelsea, Manchester City pulled out, along with Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, and Manchester United. Follows quite swiftly by Atletico Madrid, AC Milan, Juventus, just leaving Barcelona and Real Madrid as the final two that have yet to withdraw. But to quote Florentino Perez this morning, it's still very much a plan that's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I 100% believe that. I mean, yeah, like, obviously, what did I do? I came on here with my communist, radical, extremist ideology of making it so the football teams belong to the community. I can't even remember what I said. I remember like my issue was basically that it's just I said the whole reason I struggled to get behind this whole league football thing is because I just feel like these the companies that run and the corporations that run these teams are often, not always, but often quite detached from the fan base, and I think that's very much been shown to be the case here, especially with the big clubs. And I think it's interesting because obviously, well, you're an Arsenal fan. I'm nominally an Arsenal fan, but like I say, with the proviso that I'm a bit disaffected with the whole thing. I know somebody who's a Man United fan. I think it's interesting because now, of course, going forward, people who are fans of the big clubs have to kind of support their team with a knowledge that the bankrollers of their team are fundamentally opposed to the interests of the fan base. And I think that's going to be it's kind of an interesting thing to navigate, because I guess it, in a way, it almost gets to this existential metaphysical question about what is the team. Is the team a corporation? And if it is, well, that's not very good. But or is a team actually this kind of more, let's say, a slightly more wholesome thing, but something which has been held hostage by these corporations? Because it certainly seems like the corporate aspect of it has been shown to be rather disappointing, because obviously, as I think everyone pretty much agrees, having a European Super League where the kind of traditional league football structure is robbed of its biggest teams, and the biggest teams are robbed of the competitive nature of a league structure, would be bad for football as a whole, not just the fans of the big teams, but also the fans of football in general. That's why I've been watching snooker.
Always a great counter for me, Michael. That's why I love doing this podcast with you. I mean, another point is to make is that it was 6 clubs from Britain, 3 from Italy, and 3 from Spain.
Yeah, this proves that the Premier League, I mean, not that there's any doubt, but it proves the Premier League is the best league. I mean, obviously not morally, but in terms of quality, because they wanted 6 from us. It's not a Super League without the Premier League.
Exactly. And let's go back over the list of the 12 clubs again, because I mean, like, you can look at the form that they've had at the moment. Arsenal mid-table, Atletico Madrid are vaguely around the top at the moment. Barcelona not having a good season. Chelsea just drew to Brighton. Inter Milan not having a great season. Juventus, I think, are top of Serie A. Liverpool are struggling. City's at the top of the table. United mid-table. AC Milan, not the powerhouse they once were. Real Madrid is struggling, and of course Tottenham as well. Of course, no French clubs, no German clubs, no Dutch clubs. I was amazed
No
about
Slovak clubs.
There was going to be 20 clubs. That was the idea. 12. There were going to be
12 is so small.
15 invited and then 5 clubs as a qualifying thing. But I don't know where else they were going to do it. It's just a complete flop. But to think Florentino Perez has the arrogancy to think this is still a good idea is that's disgusting. And I think, and I've sort of said before, I think you may have seen before, I'm a proud Luton Town supporter. Well, we are a club that are owned by the community and serves the community. And we are in the Championship. We've had our roller coaster ride, and we have our victories are shared victories, and our defeats is our shared responsibility. And as we go forward and to get Power Court, certainly that will be the next stage for us to evolve. So. It's about backing your local team and
so basically you're upset that Luton Town wasn't invited to the Super League. It's like Arsenal, Tottenham, Manchester United, Man City, Luton Town.
Luton, come on!
No,
Could be worse. Could be MK Dons.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm so upset. See, MK Dons, I mean, that's another funny one because, I mean, that's kind of the funny thing about America. Like, literally, the teams get moved around. And obviously, MK Dons is a unique example of that in the UK, where obviously, but yeah, basically.
Wimbledon FC, and then moving to Milton in 2004. Nearly 20 years since they set up shop in Stadium MK.
Yeah, I remember back in the day. Oh, when I remember, like, being, like, I swear they came to our school, and I don't know, they were just like, yep. MK Dons is a thing now. I was like, cool, neato. But no, yeah, basically, obviously in America, it's like they're all just totally. I guess the correct term is cucked by the corporations. It's literally like because you hear these stories about like I don't know. I feel like it's I hear a lot about it on the West Coast.
LA Rams, you've got
like different teams.
Oakland Raiders, I think became the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, there's also a Simpsons episode about it where the Springfield Isotopes are going to be moved to Albuquerque. Yeah. So yeah, basically, at least we're never going to let it happen here unless we do. Which, to be honest, the UK does have a habit of importing some of America's worser aspects just slightly later. So who knows? Hopefully, not happening here. Anyway, do you want to hear some other news?
Oh, I have comments to go through.
Oh, sorry, yes, comments, of course.
I have plenty of comments, and we start with last week's episode. Only one from Kieran S. saying this: the problem with bullet trains is that they require flat land and straight lines, which makes it difficult to make them in Manchester's territory and places with lots of small towns and cities. Turns and stops dramatically slow down trains, as do transfers between them, while planes can often go between points A and B quite quickly and efficiently. Also, they aren't as fast. For example, Sapporo, as you brought out the example, to Osaka is over 10 hours by train and 1.75 hours by plane. Even Osaka to Tokyo is 2.5 hours by train and only an hour by plane. This is the problem that the US has that trains outside of the urban corridor between Washington, D.C. and Boston. Take a hypothetical bullet train from Chicago to D.C. would be about 7 hours as opposed to an hour and a half flight. Then if we move further out from LA to New York, it would take about a day, literally close to about 20 hours to give the indirect pass stops and whatnot. Bullet train as opposed to 5 hours by plane. On top of taking longer, it would likely be more expensive based on current train prices. So maybe at some point we can get faster, cheaper trains, but more fuel efficient planes seems like a more realistic goal.
Oh, I don't know. More fuel efficient planes seems it seems like a challenge. I guess the issue is it kind of depends on where we're at in terms of the amount of resources available, Because like I always think to myself, like I'm one of those people who when I think about environmentalism, I imagine like zero fossil fuels or pretty much like zero emissions and like everything has to be done via renewable. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting though because obviously, there's this analogy It's a thought experiment. It goes like this: a an alien comes up to you and says they will give you the ability to teleport anywhere on Earth, and they'll give all human beings the ability to teleport anywhere on Earth, but every year they'll randomly kill 50,000 people. Do you say, oh, that sounds like a good deal, aliens?
That's a great moral question, because that's not saying where those 50,000 are coming from.
Yeah, it's just well, the point about it is that and the twist is that that's essentially what we do with our cars, because 50,000 people, I think, around the globe die from like car related fatalities. And what's the benefit we get out of that? The ability to kind of travel around. So
what a good point to make on Earth Day as we record this.
Yeah, exactly. Earth Day. I didn't know it was Earth Day. But no, yeah, I also think actually the funny thing about it is when they said it would cost it would take a day to get from New York to LA. The funny thing is, in my head, that like sounds kind of nice, because I'm one of those people. I
Taking
genuinely
the journey.
I want to travel the Trans-Siberian Railway.
Yeah.
I feel like it'll be one of those things that's actually quite disappointing when I do it. But I just love the idea of like being on a little train cart and just like going across the land with my, sleeping on a train, like in a proper kind of sleeping compartment. That seems good. I think this is one of the many things that J.K. Rowling is responsible for in our society, a nostalgic love for the idea of being on a train. It's just like, oh yeah, a train. So yeah, I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe what we need actually to make trains more appealing, rather than bullet trains, we need to go back to kind of old-fashioned steam train cars.
Here's a point, right? If J.K. Rowling created Harry Potter on the train between London and Edinburgh, why was the Hogwarts Express a fucking steam train? And not like a fucking bullet, like magic train, like Shazam, motherfucker!
Yeah, I know. It's I always thought that, like, because to be fair, they do have heritage railways in the UK, and I think I've actually been on a heritage railway, but when I was like a very little kid, and that's the kind of thing which I would just go crazy for now. Just like imagine, who knows? I guess I'm just a traditionalist, but yeah, that's the important thing. Ultimately, it's not about what's the fastest, most efficient way of doing something. It's about what feels the nicest, and I think we can all agree that's why all transport should be replaced with quaint little steam engines. Just like everywhere you go, just choo choo.
Choo choo, indeed. 2 comments from the previous week's episode talking about the wall. Lance Lees Bagano says, "Oh man, I hope in the wall segment would be about Pink Floyd." Sorry.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. I was thinking that because a YouTuber called I think Folding Ideas. Did you ever? So I guess you know the Nostalgia Critic. Have you? Yeah. He made a review of the Wall, which is considered a very bad review, and then people have been talking about that. So yeah, honestly, I've never listened to the album The Wall by Pink Floyd, even though I like the songs that I've heard from it. It's just one of those things. Like I'm
Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah. It's kind of weird actually, because I'm a in many ways I'm a traditionalist, but I just when it comes to my music, I'm one of those people who just like puts a couple of hit songs onto a playlist, and the idea of sitting down with an album is something I very rarely do. But the worst thing is when I do it, I enjoy it. Like when I actually just sit down with an album and just listen to it all the way through, I actually do enjoy it. But I just never have that motivation to do it. Like I just think, oh man, it seems like it's a long album, dude. So yeah. But yeah, so we don't have anything to say about the Wall.
MD says, "Look, I understand someone has seen West Side Story more times than he's ever seen Grease, but he did not acknowledge that Ross Tamblyn is one of the best roles of all time."
Ross Tamblyn.
Russ Tamblyn.
I actually don't know who that is.
Don't know who that is either.
Let's look up.
I googled it. He's in West Side Story. I think he sings "I Want to Be in America." I don't know.
Oh, okay. Russ Tamblyn. Okay. Yeah, I mean, what's it called? I Want to Be in America. That's a great.
I want to be in America. I want to be in America.
I like how I feel
want
like
to
it's
be
a
in
shame.
America.
We've got to a point where even doing an accent can be considered problematic, because it's just so fun to do. Like, I like the city of San Juan. He plays Riff. Oh, I think Riff's the guy who gets shot or stabbed. So yeah, because
I'll fess up. Not too familiar with West Side Story.
Could it be? Yes, it could. Something, 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 some. I don't know
Be
what
a
it is,
fight
but
tonight.
it is. Oh yeah,
It's gonna be a rumble tonight.
the Jets. Yeah, no, so yeah, I don't actually know the.
Well, I have to confess, I'm more familiar with the film The Warriors than I am West Side Story.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's
yeah, I know that.
a great film, and I won't let anybody tell me otherwise.
No, yeah, you've all got to have. That's the thing. I feel like having at least one film that's quite old that people like is a good thing. You know, you don't want to be one of those people who just watches the latest blockbusters. Anyway,
That's for sure. So, Michael, if people want to get in touch with their comments and give their views for us to discuss, where can they get a hold of us?
well, they can actually get in contact with us via email, and the E in email stands for I don't know what at cancelcancelYT@gmail.com. That's cancelcancelYT@gmail.com. And where else can they get in touch with us, Luke?
Yeah, Lewis. Don't see you have fucking jingles, do you?
Yeah, they don't have jingles.
And you can find us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That is Cancel YT. Here it goes. CANCELCOUNCIL YT. Should we jump into quite a quiet week of news? Oh wait,
Yes.
sorry. Derek Chauvin got found guilty.
Oh well, let me tell you a thing about that. So yeah, basically, Derek Chauvin was found guilty. You pretty much that was my big story. I wasn't going to start with the big story. I was going to start with the smallest story because I thought it would be
Come
funny.
on, come on, Michael. We're
No,
fucking
okay,
journalists by now.
yeah,
We always start with the big story of the week.
yeah. So Derek Chauvin. It's an interesting one because obviously, I mean, I guess he has been cancelled. You can't deny that. I think it's fascinating because it's an example of how like discussions about the nuanced instances of like, well, let's say the nuanced things regarding, I guess, racial justice and also kind of the police as an institution. Those discussions are going to be very difficult if we can't even agree that this was the right decision, because like there are instances where I think it can be ambiguous. Of course, there was the shooting in Columbus, I believe, just yesterday, where a young girl was about to stab another girl, and the police shot her. And there are some people saying, oh well, the police maybe shouldn't have shot her because it was a bit excessive. I don't know. And then obviously there's other people pointing out that if someone's about to stab someone, yeah, that's exactly when the police should get involved and shoot somebody. But so it's kind of that that's why we're going to have debates. But on this issue, it seems like it's so clear cut, and yet there were still people out there saying like, oh, this is bad for police that this guy was found guilty. But of course, he did pretty much everything. That obviously the specific charge was, I think, that he injured somebody with a disregard for their life, I think, was the technical charge, which is third and second degree murder.
So yeah, yes, second and third combined. It was
and also I think it was manslaughter too. I do like how they do that. I don't know if
three.
Yeah, I don't know if they do that in the UK, but in America, it seems like they always just like stack up these charges.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have like really minor charges too. Like I swear I remember hearing a story about a guy who like broke into a house and killed like 5 people, and it was like 5 counts of murder and 1 count of breaking and entering.
Just the cream on the top of the cake, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, like I was listening to the radio this morning, and sort of the relief that people are getting for calling Derek Chauvin a murderer is it's sort of half baked, because they know that okay, that's one police officer charged with murder. What about the others? What about Breonna Taylor? What about the other people that have been unlawfully killed? Even sort of today, as we record this, it's Stephen Lawrence Day. And you think back to the UK justice and Mark Duggan as well, from 10 years ago this summer, and the miscarriages of justice within the UK is very similar and very haunting, and the bigger issues need to be addressed and dealt with as soon as possible.
Yeah. Basically, I think that's pretty much it. This does seem like something where it wasn't just like that's the problem with this trial. I guess it wasn't an exceptional trial. It wasn't like one of those things where like, oh, this one cop like did this crazy thing, and we really it all rides on this trial. It's like this is a systemic issue, so it's sort of like it's not something which, like you say, can be solved in an individual individual trial of one particular person. Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing. The funny thing is, I actually don't have that much else to say on this issue.
What else have you got for me? Please let it be like that.
Okay. We'll start with this one. Demi Lovato apologizes. Oh, this is from Fox News, by the way. Demi Lovato apologizes after facing backlash for calling out frozen yogurt shops sugar-free offerings.
This is the content Daddy likes.
Yeah. So she tweeted saying that that she thought it was very kind of offensive to people who are against having to watch their weight and stuff, that so diet culture, that this shop was promoting sugar-free options. And I think this is it's a bit of a phenomenon, which is why I found it interesting, which is people who are kind of anti-diet, I guess, or let's say body positivity, but then they frame that in terms of not just being positive about their own body, but trying to make it so society completely ignores the relevance of dieting and things like that. And I think it's part of a wider phenomenon of people failing to understand that not everyone is like them. And the reality is there are going to be people who, of course, struggle with their attitude towards their weight in a way where actually it's kind of a mental problem to do with their body image. But there are going to be other people who struggle with it from a health point of view. And for them, encouraging dieting is a good thing. And, encouraging healthy eating is a good thing. So it's sort of like there's, all you have to do, I think, in this situation, if you're, Demi Lovato, is understand that when somebody talks about dieting or promotes a dieting product, they're not saying that you have to be forced to take it. They're just giving an option to people. So yeah, basically, I think it's about understanding the diversity of human experience. But yeah, she faced a lot of backlash for calling him out. What do you think?
When was Demi Lovato last relevant?
I don't know. I see. I can't even remember like any songs she's done. I've heard of her.
She sang "Let It Go" in
2013.
Fucking hell! Yeah, nearly 8 years ago.
Oh, her actual name is Dimitra. Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't sound Eastern European at all.
I know, yeah.
Dimitri Lovato, come on, you're missing the cabbage.
I guess that's why she changed it to Demi.
Yeah, let's stick with Demi.
I didn't know that cabbage was particularly European.
It came to my head. I mean, it's Romanian.
I guess. I feel like I think more of like root vegetables, like potatoes.
Anyway. Like the endorsement of health products. It's what I find irritating, and I sort of had this discussion with a friend of mine who goes to the gym a lot, is that what one plan doesn't fit everyone.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I think.
You've got to just do you. Like I'm a person who walks 2 miles a day to go to work, and I walk 2 miles a day to come home. Right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, during lockdown, I've been doing 2 miles a day around the block. Right? So I've been keeping healthy, and I use Strava. I've got an Apple Watch. I've got AirPods. I've got a happy setup. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what your setup is, Michael, but you keep active in your way. Like you have your you do you. So why would you need somebody else to tell you what to do? Like I don't see the point in like personal trainers because like you're just gonna fall out with them. Yes, they're there to motivate you and push you, but equally, if you have a level of self-drive, you don't need them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's it. And like for different people, it is about different things. And I think you see that with even like things as simple as when people get up. Like one of the things that I learned from a book I read is that, and it's an obvious thing, but that, there's nothing intrinsically better about being an early bird. We have this idea, but it's really like when it comes to, for example, sleeping patterns, it's whatever works for you. Me personally, I have quite a normal sleeping pattern, I think. But yeah, like some people have weird sleeping patterns when they're like up in the middle of the night and then they kind of have like maybe 2 loads of sleep and things like that. But obviously you can't say that's intrinsically unhealthy. It might be unhealthy and it might actually be bad for the person, because obviously people can do things which are bad for them, and in that case they should change their habits. But yeah, you shouldn't kind of have a simplistic idea of what's the right thing. Anyway, how about this? Okay, speaking of not having a simplistic idea of what's the right thing, this is from Reuters. France decides that sex with child under 15 is automatically rape. And then this is the French Parliament on Thursday adopted legislation that characterizes sex with a child under the age of 15 as rape and punishable by up to 20 years in jail, bringing its penal code closer in line with many other Western nations. The only reason I found this kind of interesting is because it is a classic example of like random European country has some like weird rule, and I think it's definitely true that in like Europe, like continental Europe, they have like weird ideas about what's appropriate for children. And obviously France, of course, is the country which produced the classic film Cuties. So maybe this is in response to that. Like, oh, we've got to change our public image after Cuties. Let's make it so you can't have sex with children.
There's also the film that produced Amelie as well. So
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah. But no, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I would assume they had some kind of law against this, but it was probably like a it was one of those things where it wasn't like enough technically. So now because hopefully I imagine before this people weren't just walking around having sex with children with impunity, but obviously now they've kind of just said, well, if you're an adult and you go and have sex with somebody, obviously under 15, it means like, obviously anything 14 or below, then that's considered wrong. And I think that's pretty much appropriate. In fact, no, it's unambiguously appropriate. I don't know why I said pretty much. Yeah. And obviously in the UK, it's 15 or below. And in the US, I think most states it's 17 or below. So yeah, different like countries have slightly different things, but it's a good thing they've got something.
Yes.
Although, apparently the Vatican City has no age of consent. It's no good, is it?
Should we move on? Should we just move on before we dig ourselves a bigger hole?
Well, I've got, okay, so actually speaking of Vatican City, this is the last one. And I think it's an important one. Richard Dawkins loses Humanist of the Year title over trans comments. The American Humanist Association criticizes academic for comments about identity using the guise of scientific discourse and withdraws its 1996 honor. So I think there's like 2 things here. I'm just going to have a quick sip of water. 2 things here. One, the fact that he got this award in 1996. So what they've done here is they've retroactively removed an award he won 25 years after the fact because of something he said, which they've retroactively decided was bad. Which to me that seems kind of extreme, to say like, oh, you won this award. And I think it's like, I mean, it's quite a literal example of cancelling. I don't know what you're looking at, Luke.
Well, no, I have a point to follow up on.
Okay, that's good.
I don't know how familiar are you with Josh Peters and Archie Manners?
I think I recognize their names.
They're YouTubers. They've got 1.46 million. They gave an award.
I think I know. To yeah, I know who.
Kate Hopkins for the campaign to unify the nation trophy.
Yes.
Figure out what that spells.
Yes.
And similar sort of thing. Like when you give people the award. Do
you think she'll ever lose? Well, yeah, maybe she'll lose that award. But no, yeah. So I think that's the one aspect of it, this idea of retroactively taking away awards, which I do think, I mean, it's quite a good example of what could be considered cancel culture, because obviously, it's like when you give someone an award, you're rewarding who they are at that time. And it's like to take it away retroactively because of things they do in the future just seems weird to me. And then obviously it's the fact that I think specifically what he was saying was, he just made some obvious kind of analogies to things like race and stuff like that. And he was saying, if you treat gender the same way you treat race, you'd never come up with this conclusion that anybody who identifies as a woman is a woman, things like that. And I think, obviously they use this line about like the illusion, or wait, was it the where is it? The guise of scientific discourse.
Yeah.
And I think that's something which I think is annoying, because it's something I see increasingly, and it's around like not just gender but other difficult topics. People will say like they'll assume that any honest inquiry is actually just a sneaky attempt to say something offensive.
Yeah.
So yeah, personally, I think that Richard Dawkins' comments were and questions really were completely legitimate. But even if they weren't, I don't think you can go around kind of taking away these awards retroactively, unless like maybe in very extreme examples. But sort of like, is he any less of a humanist? I don't think so. Anyway, I mean, surely he still gets to keep the trophy, so it doesn't even matter. Like, he still gets to like. Well, that's the thing. If I was him,
like
I'd be like,
who loses a Guinness World Record, they still got the
Yeah.
certificate they said they had.
yeah, exactly. It's like, if when we win our Pulitzer prizes, they can try and take them away from us, but we'll be like,
not if, when.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, we can just like, if somebody ever like gave me an award and then later on took it away and said like, oh, we're not getting that award anymore, I would walk around with the trophy just everywhere I went. It's like, look, I still got it. Can't take this away.
You happy now?
Come and get it. Yeah, so that's my thoughts. Anything to add?
No, I think that's pretty much it. So let's move swiftly on. Michael, let's say your cancel issue of the week.
Let me tell you, Luke. So I figure I might as well cancel, seeing as it's coming up. I will cancel the Oscar nominations. But like all great journalists, I had to come up with my angle. Because I couldn't just say, oh, I didn't like them or whatever. But what I can say, this is the thing, okay, it's surprising because I think everyone agrees the Oscar nominations this year have been boring. Everyone is bored by them. Like, nobody's excited for this Oscars. And the thing is, the obvious example you might think is you say, oh, well, it's, presumably because there's no blockbuster films. But I don't think that's true, because in like other years, it's not the blockbuster films that people are excited about. Like, for example, people were interested by Bohemian Rhapsody because it was like this crazy film about this larger than life figure. People have been interested, and there's been buzz around these films. Call Me by Your Name, things like that, where it's been La La Land, films which are not by any means blockbusters, but films which do get people's attention. And this year there haven't been any real films that anyone's cared about, and I think I worked out why. It's because in previous years, all of the talentless hacks have made the blockbuster movies. They've been making Batman vs Superman. They've been making Justice League. They've been making these films which everyone can agree are just like don't really require that much pure artistic talent. But this year, just been 2020, they couldn't do that. These companies couldn't make their big blockbuster films. So instead, they started focusing more on the small, low-budget art films, because those were the films that had a chance of actually making their money back because they were low budget. But I think that because they were focusing on it, because they were interfering, they basically brought all of the things that make the blockbuster films terrible and brought them to the low-budget films. Because I was like watching it, I was thinking like, and I've seen every single film nominated basically. And I was thinking, these films, they're obviously low budget. They're obviously kind of art films, I guess, but they just don't seem to have anything like as much of a message or anything like as much as like something to say. And I was thinking, why? And I realized, oh, I know why. It's because, previously these films would have been the kind of films that slipped under the radar while the big box office films, big blockbuster films were getting the focus. Now these films are the films that the studio are looking at, and they're interfering, and they're going, oh, what are we going to do? So it basically, that's my theory. The actual creative people who usually kind of produce this good content, they were just not getting any focus this year because now the bastards who make the blockbusters are getting all the kudos.
Yeah.
And that's why this Oscar nomination has been, or this year's Oscar nominations have been bad.
I'm just So let's go through the headline, shall we? Best actor, Riz Ahmed. Of course, another British name coming through the ranks, and could be a true upset. He's against Chadwick Boseman. Anthony
Yes.
Hopkins, Gary Oldman, and Stephen Ewan.
Yeah.
Sacha Baron Cohen up for Best Supporting Actor for The Trial of Chicago 7, along with Leslie Odom Jr. and Paul Raci. Best Actress, you've got Carey Mulligan, Vanessa Kirby, Viola Davis. Maria Balakova for Best Supporting
I know,
Actress in
yeah.
the Borat 2 film. Oh, imagine that.
Yeah.
But she's up against Olivia Colman.
I know,
She's
yeah.
up against Olivia Colman. She's got to lose.
It's really funny. But the thing is, I mean, yeah, you can talk about some of the other things actually.
Best Animated Feature.
Yeah, this one's like there's Shaun the Sheep, there's Onward, Soul. What else is there? There's that other.
Can we live in a world of 2021 where Shaun the Sheep is an Oscar-winning movie?
I really I'm predicting an upset. I'm so it's interesting because yeah, like I say, nobody cares, and I think there are some films which could win. The funny thing is actually this year, the only thing I can be is disappointed because there are some films which I really don't want to win, and there are some performances I really don't want to win based on what I've seen. Like there were some films I saw which I just thought were really bad. In fact, spoiler alert, Promising Young Woman is the one which I and I might even do a review of that for my main channel because I was just like it was like whoa, it's no good. So
I think I do think Shaun the Sheep should win Best Animated Feature because all the other films are really bad.
I love Shaun the Sheep again, we were talking about trains and how much they kind of appeal to my just kind of it's like my happy it's like the happiness spot in my brain. Just like I think about trains, and it's like Shaun the Sheep. I feel that way about that too. I just think like, Shaun the Sheep.
Make our day.
All I want to do is kind of sit there in front of the fire with a blanket and some popcorn, watching Oscar-winning Shaun the Sheep. That would make my day.
It would. It really would. I'm just looking at the odds to see whether it's more likely to win Best Animated Feature.
I think Soul. Yeah, people do think Soul's likely to win, and it probably will.
Soul is 1-25. Shaun the Sheep is 25-1. Oh dear. So for the main prize, of course, Best Picture, you've got The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of Chicago 7.
Yeah, and basically the thing is, like I say, none of that. If any of those win, it's like I don't care. And the thing is, like the film I think is likely to win, the favorite I think is Nomadland. I don't know. You can maybe check on the odds, but yeah, I think Nomadland is considered far and away the most likely to win. And I don't even like Nomadland that much, but I also don't particularly care. And that's the funny thing. Like on a different year, I would be like actually invested, but just this year, it's just
Nomadland is the favorite.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, everyone thinks that's going to win. Although actually, what's interesting about the Oscars this year, because we don't want to sound like a racist, sexist, is that based on who I think will win, and I think based on who a lot of people think are going to win, it's quite likely that there will be very few white male winners of Oscars, and I think it's possible that like none of them will be. I'm just trying to think for best supporting actor. Wait, I'm going to see who I say. Oh no, okay, yeah. So best supporting actor, I think will probably either be Daniel Kaluuya or Lakeith Stanley. And so obviously black. Obviously best supporting actress and the best actress, they're going to be women. Best supporting actor will probably either be Chadwick Boseman or Riz Ahmed. I think most people are saying that. Nomadland will probably win Best Picture, and the director, Chloe Zhao, who's a Chinese woman, will probably win Best Director. Point being, obviously you can see where I'm going here.
Diversity.
It's like there's
a diverse field. Yeah,
in kind of like those are like the high status things.
Yeah,
and obviously they are the ones. And you compare it to last year, where Pretty Woman, sorry, not Pretty Woman, Little Woman, was the only film directed by a woman nominated for Best Picture, whereas this time it does feel like it has become so much more diverse, which is really interesting. And I could very much see a situation where it would be quite low down the totem pole, I guess, that we will even see any kind of man films. And I think all of the kind of the big important films could be done by or won by the non-white men. So I mean, ultimately, I think we would fall under the category of saying
we'll find out.
most of all. Yeah,
we'll find out in the early hours of Monday morning, won't we?
Yeah,
but, We're all Shaun the Sheep, though, aren't we? That's all
well,
the one we care about.
Most important thing is that the films are good. Not really. The Academy never. The Academy never goes for good films. I do think it would be so fun if Shaun the Sheep won. I'm banking on it. Anyway, so that's that's the Oscars. So
cancel your Oscar nomination. I can't do that. I mean, I think you just talked yourself out of cancelling them because they're so diverse this year that there's no possible outcome. But I do again. We're coming back to we'll be coming to the winners and losers next week, I'm sure, on the show, and we'll find out whether the diversity shows through or whether it will be.
It would be really impressive if the Academy managed to, knowing them, they'll probably end up nominating a man for a best actress. Just go, there we go. That's diversity for you.
That is certainly for sure. But that is I want to discuss for next week. As always, if you want to get in touch with your issues, your comments, your thoughts on the Oscars, on how incredibly shit Luis Sanchez and the Geese Nation guys are, feel free to comment below. We'd love to read them out. And we'd love to hear from you. It is cancelYT@gmail.com. That is CANCELCOUNCILYT@gmail.com. And if you want to get in touch on the social media, it's cancel YT on at CAN, CL,
I don't.
No, I'm just butchering this, aren't I? Cancel YT, CANCELCOUNCILYT, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord. We'd love to hear from you. Until next week, I have been Luke Hanty. Also, that has been Mark Brown. Time to see you next week for the Cancel.
Back at ya.